So I'm going to be explaining to you from a technical view on why this week is likely going to be a phenomenal opportunity to begin dip buying GameStop and buying call options on the dips. Let's get straight into it. So it's very clear that a phenomenal swing trading and investment opportunity is setting up. In terms of my bare minimum profit target, it's going to be $50 a share. Once this hits $50 a share, that is where I'm personally going to begin to start locking in some profits. Now, of course, that's just hindsight. I'm going to have to see the confirmations that we are getting at that $50 level, but that's going to be a very logical level to begin locking in some gains. Now, with that being said, based off of what I'm seeing on the daily chart, this is very clear that a pattern, that a trend is beginning to repeat itself. So in terms of what I'm seeing, we recently had previous resistance on GameStop, as you can see right here towards this 17 level. Once we broke above the resistance, it went all the way to 64. Then it went straight back down to the previous resistance. I made it very clear in my top 3 option plays in the video that I made last week that this was going to be a phenomenal opportunity to keep an eye on a potential gap close reversal at this 1740 level, which is literally where GameStop bottomed to a T, and then Deep fucking Value disclosed his position, and it's been rocketing up ever since. So with that being said, in terms of what I'm seeing a pattern, I'm seeing a trend that's beginning to repeat itself. Now, in terms of where I believe we are currently at from this technical trend, I think we can be potentially right around here. So on the right-hand side, this is, if you look right here, this is going to be January 14th, 2021 up until March 10th, 2021, right? So what I'm doing is I'm comparing this daily history to the current daily history from May 9th, 2024 up until today. And if you just compare the two, you're going to see a lot of similarities, right? So if you're just looking right here, you can see you got some resistance on GameStop. You got some resistance on GameStop. Once it breaks above that resistance, it has a massive move to the upside. Once it breaks above that resistance, it has a massive move to the upside. Once it comes crashing straight back down to that previous resistance where those bears got destroyed, it reacts as support, which is a very normal reaction when you have a gap that's waiting to fill there. And then also when you have an overreaction to the downside, it's likely going to react to support and then begin to trend back up, right? So I'm seeing, it bottomed right here. This was the resistance. Once it came crashing back down to the previous resistance, you had a bullish doji at that previous resistance. And then, GameStop began to rocket again. So in terms of where I think we're at on the chart, I think we're literally right around this mark. It went back to the previous resistance, and then it began to have some moves to the upside, and then it had a nice red gap up. And then shortly after having that nice red gap up, it kind of just consolidated. It kind of just chopped, and then within time, it had a very strong breakout. And you got to keep in mind that Deep fucking Values contracts are going to be expiring on June 21st. So a big move is definitely on the way for GameStop. And if you study the history and if you study this trend that I'm currently showing you, it's showing that this big move, this big breakout above this gap, above $40, can occur by the end of June. So those are the main reasons on why I'm planning to be buying shares and buying call options into this week. In terms of where I'm planning to do that, I'm simply looking to accumulate on the dips, not on the rips, right? So in terms of history, if this repeats in a similar cycle, you can see it bottomed very, very fucking quickly after having this gap up. Now, what you need to understand about history is it's going to repeat itself in similar cycles, not to an exact fucking T. So you can see right here, it bottomed towards this $22 level. The resistance was at 46, right? So your resistance is at $40 here. Right now, it recently bottomed at 25, and then it ended up shooting up to 86, right? Of course, this is with the split factored in. Now, in terms of another thing that I wanted to bring awareness to, you can see right here there was a gap that was waiting to fill on GameStop at $56 a share. Now, we do have a gap that is waiting to fill above right here at $48 a share. So that's going to be a very logical profit target to start locking in some gains once we catch up to that gap. You can see that gap close reversals is very real in terms of day trading and swing trading. You can see right here, we had previous resistance on GameStop and we had a gap to fill below at 1750. Once it broke above the resistance, it had an overreaction to the downside. So if a stock's going to have an overreaction to the downside and then sell right back off, that previous resistance is likely going to turn into support and bounce first. And then it's going to try to start to explode and start to fill the gaps that are waiting to fill above. You had a gap to fill above at 27, already filled. You had a gap to fill above at 40, already filled. And then once we filled this gap at 40, surely enough, we had another gap close reversal. And then it's trying to drop back down to fill the gaps below. You got a gap to fill below here at 23.10, and you got a gap to fill below here at 19.20. So in terms of someone who's interested in dip buying this stock, I'm going to be targeting those gaps, but I'm planning to get into this week, right? So I don't need to get in towards those gaps. I can scale in, I can average my cost in, because based off of what I'm seeing, this anything below $25 a share is considered, I would say, a great entry if you can get in below $25 a share, right? You can also keep an eye on previous resistance levels, this 23.60. So based off of history, man, if it repeats in a similar cycle, the bottom is going to be near, and these gap levels should be phenomenal dip buying opportunities, man, towards this 19.20, 23.50, anything below $25. But in terms of my first profit target, it's going to be $50. I'm well aware the stock can go a lot higher than that. Now, in terms of confirmations to sell, I will be using the daily chart. Every single time GameStop crashes, it's like, if you look at it, it's very fucking predictable, man. If you use the gaps, and then you could just get back in if you want to, and if you just use the daily chart, once GameStop has a massive move to the upside, once it starts having, these bearish daily candlesticks towards major resistance levels, that's when it really starts to crash. So, the daily chart and the bearish confirmations can be great confirmations to sell. You can see right here, you got a crazy bearish move and then more bearish daily candlesticks. And then you can see right here, you got these bearish daily candlesticks, these bearish daily candlesticks, these bearish daily candlesticks. You could see this is a very similar move, this bearish daily candle move, this bearish daily candle move, and then it quickly bottoms, and then it quickly bottoms. So, the bottom is likely going to be near in terms of phenomenal levels. I would say anything below 25. 23.60, great level. 19, phenomenal level. It's going to be tough to get back down there, especially if history repeats. So, you're not going to be able to get in at the exact best price, and you don't want to miss the move. But anything below $25, I would say, is a decent entry. And obviously, $19 is a phenomenal entry, and $23.50 is a great entry, right? So I'm going to be monitoring this stock very, very fucking closely. And I'm going to continue to, I'm planning to, like I said, buy shares and buy call option contracts before the week is over. So with that being said, that is going to be my analysis for GameStop. And those are some things to look for in terms of a technical view.